Hello, I'm Danny.
Hi, I'm Mel, and we're the Sheehan sisters. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us once again. We're so happy to see you, and we hope you're doing well today.
Today we are reacting to a short film by the YouTube channel Amaletto. So we are going into this blind, but Mel and I did scope the comments, and this short film does pertain to an eating disorder. So there is a trigger warning for anyone that may not feel comfortable watching content that revolves around that. But for everyone else, get comfortable, get cozy, come tune in, and let's dive in to this short film and analyze it a little bit.
This is a sensitive subject, especially for me, and Danny was so sweet and considerate. And she asked if I was going to be comfortable with watching a video that pertains to this topic. I don't know what's gonna happen in the film, so maybe I'll feel different after, maybe I'll feel better, maybe I will feel worse. We don't know, we'll see. We're in this ride together because, like Danny said, it's a blind reaction, and I'm gonna grab my pillow as a comfort. So grab your pillows and your blankets and let's dive in.
So, what are we having?
Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
For dinner?
I know it's sad.
I like peanut butter and jelly.
You do?
Who doesn't?
People with peanut allergies?
I don't have any food allergies.
I could pay you.
I'm not a prostitute.
Oh, no, I didn't mean, I just meant you're doing me like a really big favor. You're like really saving my ass, so.
You're feeding me. Shall we?
Wait. There's something we did at the center. It's kind of like saying grace.
Okay.
Hey, universe, please help me get through this meal. Please show me there's nothing to be scared of. Thank you for giving me the tools to feed myself today.
Amen. Praise God.
At the center, they told us to see food as fuel.
Like you're a car?
Exactly. Our bodies are just machines, and food is what they run on.
I used to cook a lot for my husband and kids. But they moved out and my husband died, so now I eat a lot of microwave pizza. Some frozen brands are actually pretty good. You're doing great. So what happens after you leave the center? You considered graduated or something?
If by graduated you mean my health insurance ran out, then yeah, I graduated.
Insurance is a bitch.
You said it.
I'll qualify for Medicare soon. That's what happens when you manage to avoid lung cancer as long as I have. You live into your 60s and life goes on.
Today was totally normal. But it wasn't until I started making dinner, then I felt like I was learning how to tie my shoes all over again. Like all the progress I had made had just disappeared.
Want to know a little secret? Velcro. It's made my life so much easier. No more knots.
There. Fuck you, PB&J. You don't get to intimidate me, because what have you done with your life? Nothing, because you're a fucking sandwich.
Good job.
Thank you. Do you mind listening to me pee?
You want me to do what now?
It's just something to hold myself accountable. At the center, they had us go to the bathroom and sing after our meals. I'm actually not a terrible singer. I slay at karaoke.
Okay.
Okay. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back, for it's rude. Root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. I like getting ready for the day and going to my boring job and talking to people I know nothing about. I like going to the library right before it closes when I get off. I like stretching before bed and listening to podcasts about unsolved murders as I go to sleep. Every day is literally the same thing. I can't stress how mundane it all is.
Sounds like you're happy.
Am I?
I'm not diagnosing you or anything, but it sounds like you don't mind being alive.
Thanks for the moral support.
Thanks for the sandwich.
I feel like I should hug you.
I prefer you didn't.
Oh, okay. See you around.
Sure. Well, if you ever see me smoking outside, feel free to come and join me.
Sick.
I call it a visit. He touched my sick daughter on the top of her head, and he didn't even look at me.
2 weeks later, back in America, it began to appear that a miracle had indeed occurred.
They found what appears to be the remains of a bladder.
And now, the doctor says, whatever you're doing, continue to do it.
I enjoyed it in the sense that I feel like it did a good job of just being this small scene, but having a bigger story around it. And I think they did a really great job of showing how hard it is to just eat even something as simple as a peanut butter and jelly sandwich when you are dealing with an eating disorder.
I agree. I feel like they were able to encapsulate such a serious topic in such a short amount of time, and like you said, a small quiet scene. It's so important just to have someone there for you whatever you're going through. I have also struggled with body issues and body dysmorphia, not in the same way. Just like I'm sure anyone going through something similar, even watching this or wanting to talk to someone about it, it's super sensitive and super difficult. But if you have someone you're able to confide in and just be there for you. I love that the neighbor didn't really ask too many questions and didn't really need to know too much of the why.
What's the center?
Oh, it's a place I went to get some help.
What was wrong with you?
I was having issues, just difficulties with,
Eating sandwiches?
yeah.
But was just still able to be supportive and non-judgmental.
I agree. Having someone there to support you in anything in life is
It's vital.
vital. Maybe other people can relate to this, but honestly, watching people online eat has helped me eat, where I would watch people do mukbangs and I'm like, okay, like if this person can just sit in front of a camera and just eat all this food, then I can sit and eat a small meal. And it does help in a weird way. For me, it's definitely harder if it was someone in real life. When it's in person, that would be harder for me to have someone there. But I think mainly they needed someone there to kind of hold them accountable. There's different forms of eating disorder and there's different forms of body dysmorphia, but a lot of eating disorders do derive from feeling like food is the enemy. And I definitely felt like that for a really long time. And like, ironically, I've worked in the food industry for over a decade, and I would be like making food for other people and always making sure other people ate, and like behind the scenes I wasn't doing that for myself. I know in the short film she said the line like food is fuel, and then the woman's like a car. And I don't really like that analogy, but I do like to see it as like, this is what nurtures you. This is what you need to be strong and for your body. And I've said this before in another video, but like what you put in your body really affects your mind. So obviously having the right nutrients is going to make you feel better. Another layer to it is like loving yourself, because when you love yourself, you want the best for yourself and you want to take care of yourself and you want to give yourself a yummy meal. And thankfully I still struggle with it. Like, I would love to say it goes away completely. It's something I still struggle with, especially if I'm around other people who might be struggling with it and maybe they don't realize that they're projecting. And maybe, you know, a lot of people, especially in this day with Ozempic and all this diets, the diet culture and looking skinny and all of this is triggering. So going out in the world and being around people who judge you for what you eat or what your body looks like, just all this judgment around food and eating and your body.
I did want to make a point about that, because I feel like people will even make comments when it comes to other people's eating habits without realizing how detrimental that could be. And like you said, there is like this obsession around diets and body image, and people sometimes are way too comfortable making comments and inserting their opinion about other people's eating habits and other people's diet, and you might not even know what they're really going through. So please just be cautious about any comment you make when it comes to someone else eating and someone else's weight. And that's something Mel and I want to talk about more in another video, because there's so much to speak on when it comes to body dysmorphia. And even when Mel and I are editing, you know, we can both be so critical and view ourselves in such a negative way just because society built it that way. You know, like my body has transformed a lot over the years, especially looking back at our old videos from when I was younger. And I try not to beat myself up, but it definitely is something that affects me. People are just way too comfortable bullying and being mean, especially about other people's bodies. I would just suggest being more mindful about speaking on other people's eating habits. That's all I can really keep repeating, just because I know people will be so quick to make such a short flyaway comment without even understanding that this might be a really difficult thing for this person behind the scenes. And I'm just thinking of like the workplace, for example. Like when you're sitting, if you have a community area where you all sit down for lunch or something like that, and your coworker feels comfortable to speak on what you brought in for lunch or what you decided to eat for lunch, or even how you're eating, like, stop. Just stop for a minute and think about, I think we all need to do this more often, is think about what we're gonna say before we say it. Especially if it has to do with other people's habits. Like, you really don't know what disorder someone is going through, so just be mindful of that. And you may think, oh, they probably don't care about their body, look what they're eating. And it's like, you have no idea.
Right. I think this must be a universal experience of eating lunch at work and having people come over, and like, it's a spectacle and it's the weirdest thing. It's like, can I just eat in peace? Can you just please leave me alone. And sadly, we live in a country where the food that's bad for you is more affordable and more accessible than food that's good for you. So you, again, like making snap judgments about like what people are eating and like not knowing the circumstances that they're going through. And also, like for myself, like I've always been skinny, but the main reason I've always been skinny is due to an eating disorder. And like I think a lot of the time in my life people don't realize that, and I've had people be like, well, what do you eat, and like what is your diet like? 'Cause they're trying to obtain what I have when I'm not even in a healthy place. And thankfully, like as I get older, your body changes forcefully, like whether you want it to or not. The older you get, your body's just going to change and you're not going to have the same metabolism. And now I don't fit into a lot of clothes that I used to, and it's like, well, why would I fit into the same clothes I wore when I was 22? And instead of being like, okay, I'm getting older and my body's changing and this is okay, it's triggering. But we get so into our own heads, and then we make food the enemy.
Right, and then on the opposite side of the spectrum, there are those who eat their feelings, and that's something I can relate to as well.
Is there still a part of you that sees food as the enemy? Is it a part of you mad at the food still, or is not really? Or do you see it more as a comfort?
A comfort. I see it more as a comfort. I'm a big foodie, so I love food, and I get more mad at myself. It would be more like I'm mad at myself and my body rather than the food itself, because I'm like, oh my god, food is so delicious. I'm gonna eat it regardless. But I know not everyone still would want to still continue eating it. They look at it differently, where I'm like, fuck it, it's delicious. And there's just so many good things to eat out there. So
food is delicious. Like I'm literally a chef and I need to love food. I have grown to love food. I've always loved food, but yeah, it's just it's a weird relationship. And like I said, so many people have their own relationship with food. And I was just thinking about this too, like the coworker that might make the comment, they're probably projecting their own relationship with food onto someone else. You said like they might see someone like, oh, you shouldn't be eating that, or they see someone and it's like, oh, you eat that, so I can eat that. Like you're looking at someone's, you're judging them, like you said, you're making this snap judgment based off of nothing. And while we're on that topic, I really need the gym bros to stop walking around giving everyone advice. These diets, don't follow diets. Don't do it. Just eat.
I feel like people don't realize that if one diet, because I don't believe in diets either, but if one diet is working for someone, doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Like that's what we're all not realizing. Like not everybody should be on the same regimen. We're just here to let you all know that we love you, and don't beat yourself up and don't harm your body in any way. And I know it's easier said than done, but if you are struggling at the moment, journal, talk to your friends about it if you can. Don't be so hard on yourself.
Sometimes it's easier to convey those feelings through art rather than going up to someone and having a conversation. Because a lot of people don't want to get uncomfortable or get triggered. I'm happy that media like this exists so that we can open that conversation with one another. I have a poem that I wrote in like 2017, 2018, at the time of when I was really struggling with the eating disorder. I'm not going to read the full poem right now, but if you go to our poetry page, which we will put a little clip here and we'll link below so you could see the full poem. I just wanted to read a quick line from that. Food, yet another thing I decided to deprive myself of. I've forgotten the taste of love and self-respect years ago. And I reread that line now that I'm older, and I was like, oh my God, like, are you okay? And like, obviously I was not okay at that time. But I feel like self-love and self-respect do play a big role in this, because like I said, you have to love yourself at every stage, and you have to love yourself enough to take care of yourself. And yes, it's great when you have support systems, but not everyone has that. And not everyone, like another issue brought up in the short film that I love is insurance.
Insurance is a bitch.
To go to therapy, to go to counseling, to go to a facility, that's not accessible to everyone either. And sometimes you really just have yourself, and that's hard, and that's a whole nother topic that we can maybe discuss one day. But like trying to find a way back to loving yourself, I feel like it's really, really important.
It is important, and I know it can be difficult if you're feeling like, well, I don't love myself right now. If you're hearing those words and you're like, well, I don't love myself. And I know it is difficult to get back onto that road to self-love. And it's not always like, oh, I'm back to loving myself. It's up and down. It's always going to be, maybe not always, you know,
from our own experiences.
From our own experiences, yes. And I just wanted to say, because you pointed out that not everyone has the support, and I know we do, and I know a lot of us, specifically me, I won't speak for everyone, but I internalize my pain and my issues, and I do try to battle it on my own. And I was just thinking about how in my 20s, I was very obsessed with working out and figure out I would like plan out my food for the next day. Like I would be laying in bed and like thinking about what I was going to eat, just because I was so obsessed. I don't know, like I just, how do I phrase this? Like I was just so obsessed with my personal appearance that I was obsessed with everything that had to do with that, and eating is obviously a big part of that. So it is difficult to rewire your brain so that you're not viewing your next meal in a specific lens with whatever you're going through. I'm not sure if I conveyed my message properly, but as two people who had their own issues with body dysmorphia and difficulty,
It's just, life is difficult.
Just difficulty, you can heal and you can get better, and just start telling yourself and forgive yourself. Just tell yourself, I love the way you're overcoming X, Y, and Z. Whatever it is that you're going through right now, just start telling yourself, I love the way you're overcoming this, and you will start to overcome it. I don't want you to feel like you're trapped in your own head, or you're trapped in this disease or this disorder forever. And we love you.
We love you guys, and we want you to love yourselves and forgive yourselves and be happy and healthy.
Yes, thank you so much for watching, and thank you to Amaletto for this short film. We do want to check out more of their short films because they do have a great way of encapsulating an important message in such a small scene or short time span, and they did a great job conveying this important message.
So comment below if there's any short films by them specifically that we should check out, or just any short films.
Yes, and if you feel comfortable sharing your journey or anything in this video that you related to and you feel comfortable sharing in the comments, please do, because we're all here for each other.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
See you next time.